You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm Eric Engel, aka Triple E, former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show at KMBR, and oh my God, Steph Curry, you are ridiculous. Steph Curry does it again in a potential playoff preview against the three-headed monster that is the Phoenix Suns. The Warriors outlasted them 113-112 after Steph Curry drains a three with 0.7 seconds on the clock. It was chippy all night long in this back-and-forth game with storylines all over the court. Draymond Green and Jusuf Nurkic, you remember what happened last time those two faced off, sparred all night and even traded two small celebrations, which was pretty funny. Klay even picked up a technical. This game had everything you'd look for from two championship contenders. That's right, I said championship contender, Golden State Warriors. In today's show, we'll break down why the Warriors proved they're back in the championship discussion, discuss Draymond Green's throwback performance, and of course, Steph Curry's greatness. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Also, thanks for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. But man, oh man, was this game just from the jump, you felt it. You could feel the energy in Chase Center tonight. As soon as this game started, it was just, I mean, you had the Too Short bumping as the game was starting. Black jerseys, the Warriors always, they love those black jerseys, but it's just something about the black jerseys on a game coming back to Chase with just the vibe, the ambiance. It was a picturesque day here in San Francisco. What a day to return a national broadcast game. This game had everything. I mean, everything you'd look for in a big time matchup. From the beginning, we saw a back and forth game. Neither team could really miss to start this one off. Both teams trading buckets early on, cooled down early in the second quarter. But one thing that was consistent throughout was the chippiness. You could sense it. Draymond and Nurkic going back and forth. Nurkic just chirping all night long in the refs' ears. And Draymond just giving him the work in the post. I think Draymond definitely won this matchup tonight. You saw Nurkic even disrespecting him a little bit, just not even guarding him a few times. Draymond hit an early three in the corner. It almost hit another one immediately after that, just barely rimmed out. Had a nice up and under. I mean, Draymond really looked like he turned back the clock tonight. And tons of assists all over the place, just flying around defensively. It was a vintage game. We talked about how Steph Curry on Thursday had a vintage game against the Nets. Tonight, vintage game for Draymond Green. And you saw it in every aspect. The passing, Draymond scored pretty efficiently tonight, almost at will. I mean, he was getting to the rim. He was getting up jumpers. He had 15 points tonight. On 7 of 9 shooting. What more do you want? What more than you want? He also threw in 7 rebounds and 9 assists, just shy of a triple-double. And you know who else was just shy of a triple-double? Brandon Pajemski, the Mr. Do-It-All. I mean, like we said on the other podcast the other night, he compared himself to Draymond, and a lot of people kind of laughed. But you look at these stat lines at the end of games, they're really similar. I mean, Pods finished with 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. So both of them right there, almost at the triple-double mark. I very impressed with everything I've seen from this team tonight. Very, very, very impressed. One thing that happened early in the first quarter that I really wanted to key in on was Klay Thompson picked up a technical. And this happened because Draymond Green and Jusuf Nurkic kind of started going back and forth and had some words, and Klay comes over and just punches the ball out and starts talking some mess to Nurkic, and they teed Klay up. And next play down the floor, Draymond immediately takes a charge from Nurkic, celebrates, and on the way back down on the Warriors' next offensive possession, GP2 in his first game back with a huge dunk over Nurkic. And Draymond then picked up a foul. shortly after. He saw him give Nurkic a little shoulder check on the way out. And so, I mean, just chippy all night long. And by the way, we got to talk about GP2 real quick. What a return to action for this guy. I mean, you saw how bouncy he looked immediately. I mean, you kind of got to worry with the number of injuries this guy's picked up if he's, if those bunnies are going to take a little bit of a hit sometime soon, but they're not. He's right there. He's throwing in reverse alley-oops. I mean, he's making plays defensively. He's hunting down loose balls. He's diving on the floor. I mean, he hit a three. He did everything that you wanted to see in a player's return. He started 5 for 5. I believe he finished 5 for 5 as well. Gary Payton, finished 5 for 5 and even drained a three. Great night, 11 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, just a great night, even 2 blocks from Gary Payton. The second, it just so many contributions all over the court. This almost reminded me, this was such a throwback game. This just reminded me almost of the strength and numbers type game from the Warriors. I mean, you had everybody on the bench pitching in. Quinones, oh man, a couple of huge threes late in the fourth, or early in the fourth, late in the game when they were trading the lead. I mean, he had 2 threes that either tied or took the lead in the fourth quarter. Just a phenomenal showing from everybody, top to bottom on this roster. Just huge buckets, tons of dunks, so many alley-oops tonight from Draymond to Kuminga and GP2. I just felt like they were running the same play on repeat all night long, and it was fun to watch. Warriors led at the end of the first. They also led at halftime, and we saw them lead even in the third quarter. 10 lead changes in the third quarter, just back and forth all night long. Can't emphasize that enough. Draymond also picked up a technical tonight, which was, I thought, pretty soft. He was protesting a call, and he kind of stomped on the ground and threw his hands up and said some variation of what the blank. And he got teed up, and I don't agree with that, man. I just really don't. That's a soft technical in today's NBA. Way too quick with that whistle. I get they're trying to maintain control of the game in this type of situation, but we could have seen in a game like tonight, Booker missed that technical free throw. And if he had made that free throw, this game's going to overtime. And speaking of free throws, Warriors were not good from the line tonight. If they had lost the game, that would be the thing we'd be pointing at as the issue. Warriors finished the game just 6 for 11 from the free throw line, while the Suns 15 of 16. So not good there at all. Warriors, that's a 9-point swing in favor of the Suns. It's way too many points to leave at the free throw line. Just not very good for the Warriors. And I really like seeing the contributions from everybody. Like I said, top to bottom, this was a great game. And I was also really happy to see one small thing. Royce O'Neal, for those of you who tuned in for the Nets game, at the end of that Nets game, they went on a little bit of a run fueled by Royce O'Neal, just making plays all over the court. And it looked early on like he might be finding a rhythm. And it kind of, I'll say, it kind of made me a little nervous. And I don't know that Royce O'Neal has ever made me nervous before, nor do I know if he'll ever make me nervous again in a game. But man, he was kind of giving him the work in that Brooklyn game, and you saw him start to get it going. Thankfully, the Warriors were able to kind of thwart that and turn it on. And by the way, we haven't talked nearly enough about the number of threes Steph made tonight. 8, by the way, 8 3-pointers for Stephen Wardell Curry, who also finished with 30 points. So if you're keeping track, he had 42 the other night. He had 60 not that long ago, and now he's got another 30-point game. And you can add another Mike Breen bang to the record as he called on Steph's game winner there. Again, Steph Curry hits the game-winning shot to lift the Warriors over the Suns, 113-112. Man, this one was fun. This one was so fun. So fun. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. We'll continue talking about this one. We'll talk a little bit more about Steph's game, just the greatness of Steph Curry. When is that ever a bad topic to discuss? Draymond Green's vintage performance. We'll get a little bit more into that, as well as looking ahead to this next game that they got against the Jazz. A couple games against the Jazz coming up this week, and what those implications are. We'll be back in just a couple seconds. Thanks for joining us on the Locked On Warriors podcast, Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Engel. We'll be right back. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Marvin Bagley III. Bagley is Washington's likely starting center after the Daniel Gafford trade going to the Mavs, and is worth grabbing for fantasy leagues. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast on Locked On Sports Bay Area and the Locked On Warriors podcast channel. I am Eric Engel, your host, and wow, we are still my heart's still racing from that Steph Curry ending there. This game was just a knockdown, back and forth, drag out, juggernaut matchup. And yes, I do mean juggernaut matchup. This game proved that the Warriors can be a championship contender as long as you got Steph Curry, as long as you got Draymond Green, as long as you got Klay Thompson, and as long as you got Jonathan Kuminga taking another big step forward, this team is not one to be counted out. Again, the lineup from top to bottom is really coming together. It's emerging. All these bench guys are finding their roles. GP2, if he stays healthy, is a massive contribution for this team. Klay Thompson, off night tonight. 2 of 10 shooting. And you saw in the final minutes, I'm sure this will be a topic for national discussion, Klay did not get the run in those final minutes. It was Podziemski who had more minutes than any other Warrior tonight. Pods finished with 34 minutes. That's also tied with Kuminga and Curry for the most minutes, but he started this game on the bench. Important reminder. And I think that speaks volumes to the trust that Steve Kerr has in this lineup, obviously he trusts Klay, but to be able to trust a rookie guard, when's the last time you saw Steve Kerr trust a rookie in closing minutes, trust a rookie down the stretch, play a rookie 30 plus minutes a game? Podziemski has been absolutely unreal. And I know we teased that we're going to talk about Steph and Draymond, but I got to get this in here really quick about Pods. He has just been so unreal. At the start of this road trip, he really stepped into another gear. He's the first NBA player in the last 40 years to have 50 points, 40 rebounds, and 30 assists and 2 turnovers or less in a 5-game stretch. This was coming into tonight. He also had a 34-2 assist to turnover ratio in that same stretch. Now, Pods did have a turnover tonight, but he also had 7 assists. So that his ratio actually, he had 2 turnovers. So his ratio actually went down, even though that's not a bad ratio, but just unreal. Unreal performance from Podziemski. Kerr is really getting the absolute most he can out of this team. And I'm excited to see what they can do going forward. This team is only going to get better. We've talked about this. Chris Paul is still going to come back. That guy still is a future Hall of Famer, and just cerebrally is a genius on the basketball court. And Kuminga obviously taking steps forward. Klay needs to find his role. He's been doing pretty good up until today, where we saw him force some things and kind of fall back into those old habits. And I think Klay might have seen Steph and Draymond having their throwback vintage games, and him saying, okay, my turn next, but I'm positive we'll see a big game from Klay before the end of the season. We'll see another night where he just lights it up from beyond the arc and pours in 30 plus. It's inevitable. It's Klay Thompson. It will happen. He is not washed. He's just finding a new role in a team that has a lot of growing, developing talent and maintaining one of the best superstars this game has ever seen in Stephen Curry. So to get back to Steph, which we did say we would get back to Steph, just an unreal night from Steph. 30 points, 9 boards from Steph as well, 6 assists. He did have 3 turnovers, so 10 of 22 shooting, 9 of 16. I'm sorry, I said 8 3-pointers earlier. He actually had 9. I wasn't counting that last one he drained in for the game winner. So Steph Curry, 9 3-pointers, 9 of 16 from beyond the arc, just continues his hot streak. In his last 2 games, Steph Curry has hit 20 3-pointers. I think the Warriors have a pretty good shot to win when that happens. And just by the way, one more little interesting tidbit down the stretch there. There was only one Phoenix Sun who scored in the fourth quarter, not named Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, or Devin Booker. And it was Eric Gordon very, very, very early on. I think he made the first shot of the fourth quarter. He drained a 3. But after that, those were the only 3 guys who made buckets. And as you saw from the Warriors, everybody was touching the ball. Everybody was getting shots up. This team really does feel similar to that strength in numbers team. I mean, you have all these guys coming to the developing at the same time, and it's really been fun to watch. So Steph, I mean, just an unreal outing. I mean, you still see him setting those back screens, those back picks, freeing up the rest of the offense. But I think what we're seeing with Steph is that he, in a way, he and Kuminga play so well together. They feed off of each other so well because Steph frees up Kuminga to drive the lane and get crazy dunks over people like we've been seeing this whole last month plus. And again, on display tonight, very, very, very much so on display tonight. And when Kuminga does those things, obviously, it'll eventually draw defenders in to try and help, try and pack the paint. When you do that, Steph never stops moving. He will find an open space on that court. He will get an open 3 and he'll make you pay. And that's what we've been seeing these last couple games. I expect this kind of stuff to continue to happen. The more Kuminga develops, the better Kuminga gets, the easier Steph Curry's life will be. And the more you will see Steph have big games like this again. And it's nice that they don't need this to win, but you can get 30 from Steph and that, I mean, that's great. You'll take that anytime you get, but it doesn't need to come from him. I mean, lots of Warriors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Warriors in double figures tonight. Klay Thompson was the only starter that wasn't in double figures. Again, he only went 2 for 10 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. You're not going to see that from Klay too often. So we'll give Klay the pass for tonight, but this team is really built to make a deep push. They really are. And we're seeing all of these pieces come together, especially in Steph Curry and Kuminga playing off of each other as we just described, plus Draymond being the glue to kind of fit it all together. And you have all these other guys that can step up, an Andrew Wiggins, a Klay Thompson, we saw Lester Quinones. We talked about him a little bit earlier, stepping up with a couple big threes. Brandon Podziemski. These are all guys who can get buckets and contribute in a big way. And it can be a different guy every night. It doesn't need to come from Steph. That's what makes this team so dangerous right now. And that is why I think they have turned into a title contender. Not just a threat to make the playoffs, or maybe they'll get into the play-in and win a series. If this team keeps pushing, they will be a title contender. They will be there at the end of the season with everybody else in the Western Conference. You can't tell me that you're afraid of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert in Utah. You can't tell me that. I mean, as long as you have Steph Curry, anything is possible, or should we say anything is possible with Brandon Pajemski? I'll see myself out with that one. Sorry for the bad dad jokes. We'll have more for you on the other side. We got to get into Draymond's vintage game a little bit more, and we got to discuss just the top-down lineup of this Warriors roster. Is this closing lineup the closing lineup? We'll talk more about this on the other side. You are listening to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am Eric Engel. We'll be right back. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, that you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gives you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Engel, a.k.a. Triple E, as you might know me from the Murph and Mac morning show that used to exist on KNBR. What a night. What a night. This was a barn burner from the start to finish, just a knockdown back and forth. There are 10 lead changes in the third quarter alone, and Draymond Green was at the center of it all. We talked a little bit earlier. We mentioned earlier at the top of this show, the sparring back and forth that happened between Draymond and Jusuf Nurkic all night long. And we got to get into that a little more because Draymond did a really, really good job of towing the line. And I think that means a lot for this Warriors team. It shows how locked in Draymond is right now compared to earlier in the season, where he was letting his emotions kind of run him. He was all over the place. I mean, he punched Jusuf Nurkic in the face in a game. I mean, it was more of a flail, and I don't think it was intentional, but he was playing reckless, and he didn't really care if something like that happened earlier. And now you see him kind of, you still see the Draymond passion, the intensity, the just that little nuisance that gets under the opponent's skin constantly, persistently, but not pushing it too far, not engaging directly with Nurkic, not going back and forth, because they were looking for something like that. That they weren't going to let this get out of hand. Hence that very quick whistle on that technical, that really soft technical that Draymond picked up earlier in this game. Same with Klay's technical. I did not understand why that had to be a technical foul either. However, Draymond Green, vintage night from him. And all you got to do is look at the Warriors' offensive and defensive efficiency stats. Anthony Slater put out a tweet earlier today explaining what they were. And Draymond Green, since he has been back, the Warriors' defensive efficiency is third best in the NBA, I believe. And that is huge. Again, this team stepped up pretty well defensively again tonight. Limited Kevin Durant and the Suns, the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Brad Beal Suns, to 31.4% from three, just 11 for 35. Warriors 17 of 40 from three. That was a big difference in tonight's game. And a lot of those threes came off of Draymond Green assists. This guy is all over the court, setting screens, playing defense. He was giving Nurkic the work in the post. And you saw Nurkic kind of post Draymond. The very first opportunity that Nurkic had to celebrate, he took. He posted up Draymond Green for like the fifth or sixth time, finally got it to go. Mind you, Nurkic is several inches taller than Draymond. And as soon as he missed this, mind you, he missed like the first 4 or 5 post-up opportunities he had against Draymond. He immediately slaps the floor emphatically, gives the too small celebration, but notices Draymond isn't looking at him, so he does it again. He doubles down on this and slaps the floor a second time. And you know what happened? Going back down the court the other way, Draymond Green put his shoulder down, put it into Nurkic's chest, and pushed him back in the paint. Got a nice little layup in the lane, and Draymond hit him with it right back. Just slaps the floor and hits him with the too small on the way back. I loved every second of this. If you want to play that type of game with Draymond Green, we've seen what happens. This version of Draymond Green, where he is fired up, intense, but towing the line, reminds me of that stretch in 2002 down towards the end of the season with the back and forth with the Grizzlies. And we saw what happened that series, didn't we? I thought Devin Booker was, or not Devin Booker, excuse me. I thought Dylan Brooks was supposed to be Dylan the villain and was going to be the new Draymond Green, the better Draymond Green. Well, that obviously has not happened. And Draymond Green is still here doing his same old song and dance, and you can't stop him. He's making your life absolute living hell on defense with all his screens and ball rotation and just a pinpoint passing. And tonight, even getting buckets, 7 of 9 from the field and a 3 for good measure. He had a steal. He did have 5 turnovers. That is a problem that needs to be limited, but I'll take it. A plus minus of +3 at the end of the day. Just an absolute phenomenal game from Draymond Green. This is the Draymond of old. This is the Draymond the Warriors need to be a title contender. And all of these things we keep talking about that put the Warriors back into the title contender discussion. It's a lot of ifs. I keep saying if Draymond Green can play at the level that he is, if Kuminga can continue to step up, if Andrew Wiggins can start to play defense and be more aggressive offensively, if Steph Curry that's not really that big of an if. Steph Curry will continue to be a superhuman on the basketball court. That is a given, not an if. But what is an if is if Klay Thompson will step up and find his role and be able to be that guy who more or less is just the knockdown 3-point shooter at this point in his career, can grab some rebounds and swing the rock. But we don't need Klay taking leaners. We don't need Klay trying to take people off the dribble at this point. We just don't need it. But he's still very capable of pouring in 30 plus from beyond the arc. As long as he's making those open shots and finds his rhythm, I would not ever bet against Klay. So a lot of good signs from tonight in what was a potential playoff preview between these two teams. Warriors go to Utah twice within the next week and will have a chance to overtake the Jazz and cement themselves into the play-in, if we can say if the season ends now kind of thing. But if the Warriors beat the Jazz in these 2 games this coming week, they would be in the play-in if the season ended at the end of the week and the Warriors win those 2 games. So very big week coming up for the Warriors. And you know what else it's a big week for? Tomorrow. I don't got to tell you, if you're a Bay Area sports fan, you already know. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you already know what time it is. It is 49ers football. It is Super Bowl weekend. It is 49ers Chiefs. It is Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. It is going to be huge. This is the biggest Niners Super Bowl of my lifetime. Much bigger than the Ravens, much bigger than the last time they faced the Chiefs. They got to have this one. They just got to have it. So, join me tomorrow for a huge 49ers postgame show. I'm not even going to say what's going to happen if they lose. I might just sit here and sob for the whole 30 minutes, but we're just going to assume that the 49ers are going to take it to the Chiefs and win. I already told you last time I think the Niners win by 3. I'm going to go on record right now, 27-24. That is my prediction. 49ers over the Chiefs. But for tonight, the Golden State Warriors, 113 over the Phoenix Suns, 112. Woo! What a weekend. What a weekend for Bay Area sports fans. You got Suns, Warriors, Kevin Durant back in the Chase Center tonight. And then tomorrow you got the Super Bowl. And then Monday you got Warriors jockeying for playoff position. It just keeps getting better and better on the Locked On Warriors postcast and on the Locked On Sports Bay Area channel. Keep with us for these next few days. You aren't going to want to miss it. Again, my name's Eric Engel, aka Triple E. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Thank you. If you're however you're getting our show, YouTube, the Locked On Warriors podcast, however you're listening or viewing, thank you. This has been the Locked On Warriors postcast with your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we'll be back next time tomorrow after the Super Bowl. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Peace.